can't tell the story about People's Bank of Kankakee County without remembering Romy Hamus.
He got in the car business when he was 15 years old, working for Harry Dowell in La Crosse, Wisconsin, being the Ford dealer.
Romy was quite a salesman. He came to Kankakee ultimately because he won a national car sales contest in 1926. He sold 107 Ford Model Ts in 90 days. For that, he got to go to Detroit for a special banquet. He got a gold watch from Edsel Ford. He got to take his wife on his honeymoon because he hadn't taken Dorothy on a honeymoon yet. Also, Edsel asked him what else he would like, what kind of ambitions he had, and he said, I would like my own Ford garage.
So Harry Dowell purchased the Ford agency, and my father came down to run it until such time he could hopefully afford to make a deal with Harry Dowell and buy it.
He lied to Kankakee because there was a paved road that went from Kankakee all the way to Chicago. And he thought, there's a place I could sell some Fords.
His management style, being an entrepreneur, you knew he was the boss.
He was the boss, yes, but he didn't come off as the boss. He was very gentle, kind, just a great guy.
What I remember of Romy being, he was obviously a people person. You know, he loved helping people, and that's what he did.
Whenever he came in, he seemed to sit at my desk. And, you know, as we were passing by, we would talk. He knew all the customers.
He's a winner of the, was awarded, I should say, the St. Gregory medal by the Pope. I remember seeing the picture of, receiving a St. Gregory medal is the highest lay award that, someone can get.
We were working when he had gone to Rome with his wife and met with the Pope, and then he'd come back, and it was like, let's go to lunch. I mean, he made you feel like you were just as important as what he had just been doing in Rome. But every day at lunchtime, he'd say, who's going to lunch at noon? And whoever was going was welcome to go with him. We'd pile in his car, and off to the country club we'd go. And he was a jokester. I mean, there was nothing he liked better than when you go to the country club and you're the very new person, hadn't been there yet, and he'd say, oh, we have to get this sundae. Well, you have to try this, it's the best. And it was one of those that when it was a hot fudge sundae, but the chocolate got hard right away. So, of course, everybody else at the table's waiting for you to try to put your spoon in it, and then the chocolate would go, and oh my God, that was belly laughs. I mean, that was the best. And so you liked it the next time when you got to go and there was another new person.
And you kind of like initiation, you know?
Romy went through his difficult times. He went through the greatest depression, went through the 80s, and went through a couple of very difficult projects. But he never lost sight of doing what's right. He never lost sight of philanthropy. And while he may have passed away a humble man, he certainly passed away very pleased to be able to look back at his life and what he had given. And that was the measure of success for him.
Romy began his business in car dealership, expanding into development, and then eventually to Marycrest Savings and Loan.
In 1956, there was an opportunity to get a state charter for a savings and loan in Kankakee and some other communities because even after the war there was a pent-up need for financing housing, and that's what the charter said. You were to finance housing. You were not chartered to make commercial loans. Not to say that Romy didn't do that when a good loan came along. So he started that. And then later on, the same situation came up for a state-chartered bank. Sam Shapiro was a very respected attorney here in Kankakee. He was of the Democratic Party. Everybody else was Republican. And the Republicans, being business people, controlled the banks of who they were going to do business with. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that's the way life was. Sam thought Kankakee ought to have another bank in town. so that there was an alternative. So Sam Shapiro came to Romey and said, the charter's available, I'll vouch for you. The bank did open in 1962, authorized to take FDIC deposits. Well, the first location was next to Mary Crest Savings and Loan on East Court Street in the side office there, and then it went to the East Court Street office in Mary Crest Plaza office building. The rent was cheap. Romey owned the building. My father would shake hands and he'd point over to Chuck Nelson and say, Chuck, give him the loan and follow up the paperwork. And therefore he was able to jumpstart people that he knew would have probably a steady income. It was really a no-brainer. You can't do that today. Well, I was the first one because I wanted to be. A deposit. It was a checking account. It was like 0001. After the fire in '72, we went from the non-computer bank, bragging about it, to having to be a computer bank. And whoever transferred those records over, and if I ever find out, I'll kill them, took the number 1 away from me and gave me a number 26.
I believe the fire started in the attic, and there was a smell of smoke. Something concerned the employees. The fire department came, couldn't find anything, and before you know it, it was totally involved.
Oh, it was horrible. It just went a great big fire. And having no bank records, we didn't know who had the deposits and who had the loans, because a lot of that was burned up. But as it turned out, we told people that. And you'd be surprised how honest people are to come in and say, well, I had a loan here, and well, let's reconstruct the documents.
Documents that were salvaged came over, and they were wet, you know, they smelled of smoke, you know. It was rather foul, because we had to go through things, try to recover information type of thing and records. But it seems like it worked. We managed.
What makes a great bank? You start with the people that work there, who then attract good customers. The most important person at any business, including People's Bank, is the customer contact.
Alberta's been answering the phone for all these years, and she's the one that that I have so many people come to me and say, who is that angelic voice that answers the phone for People's Bank? And I get to tell them that's Alberta.
I've been answering the telephone for the best part of 22 years. I do enjoy it.
Familiar voice in Alberta.
Jerry, when he calls, he jokes around. He likes to.
I don't have to tell her it's Jerry calling. She knows.
Good morning, People's Bank. I'm sure glad it is People's Bank, you know.
I say you're cheating, you see it on the screen. So now I know it's you.
Alberta and I worked behind the teller line, and we've worked together forever. And I always looked up to her, still do. She was the kindest person I've ever known. I've never, ever heard Alberta even raise her voice to a customer. And we worked next to each other at the teller line forever.
Jeff had come here in 1994, decided he liked banking, and that's been terrific.
He's a takeoff of his dad. He is doing a wonderful job. He's good with the community. He's serious about providing services.
He could be my son, I mean, that I never had, having 4 girls. And he's mature beyond his years, and he's done an excellent job here.
You know, Dave Hansing, that was my first job, was just to shadow him for the first couple months and learn how to be a lender. So Dave's the guy that taught me how to meet with customers. We went over the loan policy and things like that, taught me some of the overarching things to lending.
What he brought to People's Bank is he used to be a bank examiner. He knew exactly what rules to keep and follow, and has been a very loyal employee for many years, of course.
I just enjoy my work. I enjoy our customers. I have a one-on-one with a lot of customers because I've been waiting on them for absolutely years. You know, going back to 1973, there are people that are still with the bank, People's Bank.
We've seen the grandparents that are still with us today, and the parents, and the kids. We're a third-generation bank, so I mean, perfect example. But we have customers that are still with us from the day that I started 33 years ago, because we have #1 customer service.
They really like us.
They do. We're a family. We really are.
50 years of making it happen. I think it'll continue to be another 50 years of making it happen. I look for Jeff's daughter to become the next president. I think she has an interest, clearly.
Before I went into this business, I would wonder, why is People's Bank still around? Why a little family-owned bank when you see the corner grocery store going, the family hardware store going, everything's being Walmarted out? What is it that's different about banking that allows a family-owned community bank like us to survive and compete with the biggest banks in the world? And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're still in a people business. You know, we're still financial services, and people rely, and it's a trust relationship with our customers. And as long as we have that, we can compete for the future.
And it doesn't matter if it was Romy or Jeff now, and Jeff's the same way. I often tell the new people, if you want to see customer service at its best, just watch Jeff walk through the lobby. I mean, that's their family.
If you set a goal, you need to save for it or manage things so that you can make it happen.
Let's make it happen. It can go from our perspective as being people, employees of the bank. The customer, it says it all. Let's make it happen.
And I think that sort of defines how we think here at the bank. We want to make things happen for our customers. We want to make things happen for our employees, too.
I mean, it means working with people, providing capital, whether it's home loans or commercial business loans. That's what I primarily do now, but that's probably been some of my best experiences is with people is, you know, buying a new home, seeing them mature, growing relationships with us, and clearly business loans providing capital so that, you know, people can profit by it and grow, and that's what it's all about. We grow with them, and that's what community banking is.
That's what we do. If we didn't provide good customer service, we didn't have customers, we wouldn't be here. It's all about our customers and internal customers being our team players, all of us as employees, how well we work together. We have a great team.
We are just so proud to work for that family and the bank, and I'm just proud to say that I work at People's Bank. I mean, you know, I interview a lot of people for positions, and, you know, I think half of it goes into telling them about People's Bank and about what a great place it is to work.
Romy was, and I think left this earth, always a salesman. He always had something to sell, and he did it well. He used to say, not to sell the product, but to sell the happiness that goes along with it. And I think that's something we do here at People's Bank. There are so many documents that a customer will sign for a deposit or for a loan or whatever, but we want to make sure is that what goes along with that is the comfort of knowing the relationship behind that deposit, the relationship behind the loan, that we've got their back if, God forbid, something should happen bad, that they're not going to have to appeal to a big bank. They've got just us to deal with. There's so many things that go in with banking products. Maybe an attorney would say they're really just contracts, but it's the people behind the contracts. And it's the happiness that goes along with that.